Welcome to Classic Car Cave. So in this video I'm going to be working on this track mini. It's actually a hill climb mini, and what's going to be a hill climb mini, but the race we're preparing it for is the Red Bull Ring on the 30th of September. And I just want to put a few more things onto it to help on the day of the race, so we have a good day's racing and we don't have any problems, any breakdowns. And obviously before the race we will do a big spanner up, which is basically a front to back check on everything. The front will come off, it'll be up on the ramp, and we'll do everything, check everything's tight, everything's secured. You know, 2 or 3 days before the race, or a week possibly before the race, maybe a week or more, because obviously we don't want to be getting stuck for bits and pieces. So what I'm doing today is I'm making up this vent for the roof. This roof originally had a glass top in it, and I made this aluminium piece to go in it, and we made it in such a way that it was hinged, so that on a cool down lap, or a slow down lap to cool the engine down, you could pop this up a little bit and let some air get into the car, because it's extremely hot here in Austria in the summertime, and the car gets very, very hot. You're stinking with sweat. So what we've done is I've got this new piece that I bought from Car Builder Solutions, and it'll give us a permanent vent into the car, hopefully. So I'm going to show you that today, and how I'm making it, and why I'm doing it, and so on and so forth. I've also got some bits for the bonnet, which will give it a little bit more air over the top of the engine and hopefully go down the back of the subframe and cool that a little bit more. We have the maximum coolant we can now. We've got its original fan, we have an electric fan, we have an oil cooler, and these extra vents, and hopefully that will keep it as cool as we need it to be. But you can imagine 20 minutes or 30 minutes of full-on racing at 6.5, 7,000 RPM constantly. That's a lot of heat in that engine. Anyway, I'll take you through the stuff. I hope you enjoy it. As you can see, it's pretty powerful. We've got a few things to do in here. So now we've got this switch here, which is for the rain light. We'll put that's the thing on there. And we've put this in now, which is the shift light. We couldn't find a red one, but we've got a blue one, so we thought it'd be a bit different. So that'll light up when we get to maximum gear shift, and we can move it up and down here to the revs that we want. So we're pretty good. So this switch now works the front and back rain light. This is the fan switch. That puts the fan onto the engine. These are the flashes if you need left and right. If you're doing a track day, they want to be able to move over. And now all the fuses are used. All three of them are used now, aren't we?
No, we have the 4.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 4 fuses in it. So we're using them all up now. The only thing that's all fixed, that's working okay now. Little tight, but it's good enough. The next thing we're going to do is open these up and put the big thick rolls on them, and basically up here on the top here, and so if you smack your head or if you roll the car or whatever. But there we go. So it's coming on. This one here, what we'll do is we'll cut out here, put the mesh in it. And then what we're going to do is only cut a very small hole in here. We could actually use a mini or whatever vent, so you can vent it down and turn the ball, but we only want a small hole in it, because what I'm concerned about is with that surface area, it's not massive, but because this back window is plexiglass, what I don't want to do is have too much air coming in and it might blow the back window out. To be honest, I really don't think we can go fast enough to do that, but that's what we're going to do. So as you can see inside there, you can see we made these hinges and these brackets and stuff, so we'll take all that out and we'll actually pin it. You can see now, if I can move this is aluminium. Obviously there was glass in it originally. This is aluminium. So what we'll do is we'll actually bolt it or screw it right down to the side, and you can see it'll be a much nicer fit all the way around. So I'll screw that in permanently, and then this will be the air vent and then we'll do the same with the bonnet. These are the air scoops I'm going to use for the bonnet to get more air into the engine. You can see I've actually cut that piece out. I just did it with a Dremel there. and then I'll clean it up with and this is the piece that will go inside it. Excuse me. And you can see, there you go. I've just got to get it bent right, and that's the piece that will go in. So that will make the 2 air vents. This one I've got to cut out. I'll take you up to the Mini. I've got to work out the problem with this air vent on the top for the cab, for the driver, is you can see it there. The problem with that one is I had to cut this piece off because it was so badly bowed here, and I caught it with the Dremel as well, to be honest. But it was quite badly bowed, so I'm going to have to make something to go in there to hold that piece, to make it just fit. So obviously I'll glue that in place, but I think that'll let enough air into the cabin, and then I'll screw it on. I don't know whether I'll leave it that. It's actually plastic, but it's got this, looks like carbon fibre weave on it, but maybe I'll paint it blue. The ones on the bonnet, definitely I'll paint blue, and the holes will be quite large on each side there, so I think I'll probably do them all blue. Yeah, but what I need is an air ball, a vent that I can get out of an old car, so we can kind of directionally move it. You know, put more on your legs or on your chest or face or whatever. And what it will do is, if it's smaller, the hole, it'll force more air through it quicker, so I'll move it quicker. I'll just try and bring you in a little bit. So there'll be the 2 vents on the bonnet. That's carbon fibre, the bonnet, and then if I come up you can see the one on the roof. And what I'll do is here, I'm going too far. Let me bring that back a little bit because it's too much. What I'll do there, where this is, I'll put an aluminium strip in there and screw it across this aluminium strip so that stays on, and you can take the back piece off, and the same there, and then the same on that one there, and that should be enough. The problem with these is they're quite rigid, and I'll have to go a little bit further back on the engine because there's too much of a slope. I would have liked to have had it, if I come out a bit, I would have liked to have had it more towards the front to get the air in lower, but this will do the job. And they'll obviously be painted baby blue. These are plastic, they were £5 each, and I think that was £12, this carbon fibre look-alike. It's not, it's plastic, but I'll paint that blue as well, and that'll match with the car. As I say, put an thin aluminium strip in there, screw it down, which will hold that like that. So if you want to take the back piece off, this will stay upright on it. In case this mesh gets damaged for whatever reason, stone, whatever, I can just replace it easy enough and not have to do both. So that's the plan. And yeah, so I've been on touch with Mini Sport today, and they're sending me out a brand new wheel like this, but with the Nanking slicks on them, which a friend of mine, Martin, he's going to bring over, and a wet tyre with a wet tyre and a wet rim. So we have 5 rims for each, and I've got around about 5 sets, but the offset, it's 5 sets of different tyres, slicks. Some are second hand good, some are very bad. I've got the wet tyres, so we've got too many tyres. But the problem is some of the ones I have, the 13x7s, the offset doesn't fill that Miglia arch. So they are 13x7s, but the offset's wrong. It's more in, if you like. So I've prepared these 3 pieces that are going onto the track car. So what I did is I used some 60 grit and then some 80. Got all the shine off the plastic, got all the edges done, primed them in the white here. This is the one that's going on the roof. These are the 2 that are on the bonnet, and that's the blue, the baby blue on it now, which I had matched to the car. I used the roof panel to get a match on it. Luckily I've got a company that does auto paint and household paint, and they can match just about anything you want. They can scan it, whatever. So they're just the first coat on it. I'll let this dry up now, put some second coats on this and get it more gallant, shiny, and then I've already pre-drilled all the holes. What I'm making here now is a piece that will go on the front. So the idea is that that piece there will sit on the front like that. I'll leave this aluminium. This is aluminium anyway. And then I'll screw this on separately. So if anything it breaks or something happens, it gets bent, whatever, I can easily replace this without actually taking the bolts out, the whole thing, whether it be here or whatever. You never know. And it's very, very light material. This it's extremely easily deformed. So that's my thinking on it. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure. So these bars will go across these ones here in front, and you can see I've rounded the edges off. And then I'll make another bar to go into the centerpiece there, same thing, which will hold that one in. And yeah, it should look nice. I think being colour coordinated should look real good. So I'll show you what it looks like when I start to put it on. What I've decided to do now with this is, I was looking for some kind of old vent, but I'll show you what I've come up with, and I think it'll work. Hopefully it'll work. What I've come up with is these four vents. There's 4 of them like that, and I can kind of spread them out into a kind of square, if you like that. And they are kind of slightly directional, so I'd like to be able to turn them. So what I've come up with is, I've got these O-ring kits, and I've got a bunch of these O-rings which I've probably never used because they're quite large, and they will fit perfectly on that cutter. So what I should be able to do is just spin these to whatever direction, and they shouldn't rattle because the O-ring will hold it against the metal. So I'll put the 4 holes into the roof plate here, and I'll kind of spread them out a little bit over the area of the vent, so they're kind of equal, if you like. Yeah, and I think that should work. I checked it with a vernier gauge, and this hole cut is slightly bigger than this base piece here. But what I can do, the O-ring is perfect. So what I'm thinking is I can always build up this a little bit if I need to stop it rattling. But I think with an O-ring on it, or 2 O-rings on it, it's not going to go anywhere. I have enough O-rings to do that. So that's the plan. Hopefully it works. So this is the O-ring kit I've got. If anybody is doing restorations of this kind of work, excuse me about that, the house sprays. If anybody's doing restoration work, these are a godsend. The chances are you'll be lucky if you use 70–80%, but that 20% that you use will come in invaluable. So yeah, they're well worth having for the price they are. Okay, so I've put the first coat now onto the roof vent to get some air into the car, and these are the 2 bonnet ones. So I've given them another coat, another 2 coats. They're not perfect. They were seconds because they were £5 each, but they'll do the job. Unfortunately, I didn't make a nice job on that as I did on that one, but hey, it's a track car, you know, I don't want to look too poncy. So I'll bring you back when I start placing them on the car. Okay, these were the kind of rudimentary things, the locks that we put. That's all I could think of at the time to make this roof open and lock it. So, and obviously they were too far down, so we had to put these spacers in them. So it's basically just a bit of aluminium box with that on it. So what I'll do is I'll tighten them up now. Take this out. This was for lifting it, not for lifting it, because what it had on here was helper springs. There were some springs we had, so that when you unlatched it sprung open, but it was still captured, if you like, on a bolt here. So I'll take all this off, put the screws in, put the bolts back in, really tighten them down, cut these off, and then put a little dab of paint on them. And you can see that, there's the back line in there. So this will go down permanent, and what I will do is use this double-sided tape, which is quite thick. I'll put that double-sided tape on there. So what I'm going to do now is get the hoover, clean all this out, and pop it in. It's going to be a little bit lower, but that's not a problem. It's it'll seal it anyway, and it'll stop any air coming through it. It was unfortunate that somebody had put this roof, this glass roof in it, but it is what it is. So, but with the metal, it should be no problem. So I'll crack on. So that's approximately how it's going to look. Obviously it's not put in right, and it's that's got to be, but that's the way they should look. There's no vent in that one. So I'm going to give that one a little touch up because I touched it with my hand. Usual, trying to do it too quickly. And there's the top one. As you can see, it's not a perfect colour match by any means. But we did it off a chart rather than off a spectrometer or whatever these things are called. And they're like €18 for a can, but it's pretty close. I think it's slightly better. And yeah, I'll better put that grill into it later. So I'll just take this one back off and give it a little touch up. I'll let it dry first and then I'll touch it up. And that bar will just sit nicely across the front there. And it should give us at least a bit more area. What I'll do is once I've drilled it on, then I'll cut the carbon fibre because I'll know where the holes are and I can go on the inside of that on both sides. I just hope the carbon fibre doesn't tear. What I'm thinking is maybe just using a grinder, a cutter, and maybe it'll just cut the weave easy enough, we'll see. But there we are, so another little bit done. Hopefully that'll keep it that little bit cooler for the race at Red Bull, because it's not a long track, it's one of the shortest F1 tracks. There's quite a bit of uphill and quite a lot of corners on it as well, which is an advantage for the Mini. So we'll see how we go.